That's us. We're back. We're back in the studio. It is Friday night. I'm trying to bring these more often to you while I'm back in port. It feels good to have this back up. It just feels good to be back in the studio. It's a long time coming. Been gone all last year. And let's get into it tonight. Let's talk about this quality of life hearing. I got it up on the phone here. If you got a drink, go ahead and toast. You know, let's give ourselves a toast for still being here in 2024. Shout out Carl Weathers. You know, Apollo Creed passed away. Man, that, like, who doesn't love a good Rocky movie? Apollo Creed, and then everything he was able to do after that. You know, fucking him in Predator, like, great fucking movie, right? And him recently in Star Wars. It's sad. So to him and his family, hope they're doing all right. Yeah, so hey, if you're joining us, check out, click over to YouTube, maybe on another device, maybe on the TV, maybe on your phone, whatever you're not watching me on, right? And we're gonna get into this quality of life hearing. I'm gonna be scanning through it pretty quickly because it was long. It was like 2 hours, right? I've jumped ahead already. I'm at 31 minutes 13 seconds, and they did like the ranking. The head committee guy, he talked a bunch and welcoming and blah, blah, blah. And the senior enlisted for what is the Joint Chiefs, I think, the bald Marine guy, Sergeant Major, he talked in the opening comments. Was it Master Sergeant or Sergeant Major? Forget which one. SMA, Sergeant Major of the Army. He gave his. So we're jumping ahead here to the MCPON. I've watched this once already. It was pretty good, really, right? Had a small discussion yesterday with a couple sailors on the ship about it, who their first question was like, I had said I watched it, and they asked, well, Chief, but isn't that for like the junior sailors? Isn't that directed towards the junior sailors? I said, no, man, it's a hearing for all service members, for the troops. Right, for every branch. They even had the Chief Master Sergeant of the Guard, Chief Master Sergeant Guardian on there talking about the Space Force, right? And so overall, it was real good. So we're gonna jump forward. I gotta mute it because I don't know if fucking YouTube, even though this is news reporting in my book, you know, I don't want to get a strike against me tonight. I'm drinking on some. I was trying to get into gin. On deployment, had a couple. It wasn't that good, but I got some Japanese gin from the package store with a little ginger soda, little Canada Dry, and this one is hitting. So let me mute that, and then play that.
Good morning, Chairman Bacon.
I think that's it.
Ranking Member Houlihan.
If you're tuning in, let me know if you could hear it.
Life panel. As Master Chief put it out to the Navy, it is my privilege to speak with you.
Oh, I think I got to do that. There we go. I'll be jumping ahead. So, you know, a couple of things that I learned about here, right? Not that I didn't know this, but like when Master Chief's talking here, I'm going to mute this or turn this all the way down while he talks and we catch up, is the Navy. If you're Navy or if you're not Navy, you should know that we're a lot different. And one of the things he puts out here is how we, the Navy, cannot authorize a BH for like E3 and below, right? That is like congressional like level stuff of how that money gets paid out. And the Navy can't do that. And they just had he talks about how in the latest NDAA, whatever that is, I'm not the brightest, okay? But like how that just got approved for ships going into the yards to get those sailors some good housing. I don't think they're going to be moving out in town. I think it's going to open them up to BH so they could be in UH housing, like in San Diego, Regiland Hall, the Beacon, things like that, right? That's good. He talks about some of the single income and quality, like single income and how that affects quality of life, things like that. It gets all into it, you know. Let me just a lot of CDC talk. I'm gonna do a big jump here because I really want to get into some of the other things that they're talking about. The only thing I didn't like about it, right, is a lot of it is very, I mean, at their level, it has to be very politically spoken, right? For the audience they're entertaining, right? And I just feel like sometimes I just wish all of them, right, across the board could just lay down some like fucking hard hitting, boom, this is the fucking truth of the matter, right? But we'll like I said, we'll keep watching. Let me know down in the comments if you tuned in at all, and what did you think of it? This is a good one. SEA. It's like, well, I don't know who he is. I think he's like the. Oh man, I think he's like the advisor to the Joint Chiefs at that level, because the Marine Corps and the other branches are represented. So he's like the odd man out that's not in charge of a branch. Sorry, it's SEAC Black, senior enlisted, something of the Chiefs. I don't know. I think he's like the enlisted side Joint Chiefs. Excuse me for being fucking dumb. Okay, but he talks about something right here. We're at like minute 46, 21 seconds, about how even serving, right, is something that like civilian population doesn't want to do, because they get into like the not just quality of life, but how quality of life is impacting recruiting and things like that. And it's just really interesting because he hits the nail on the head about a lot of people don't want to serve, right? They don't see any benefits in it. And something that I was gonna that I'll be talking about probably in another episode coming up later in the future, might get into it right now a little bit, is like you have the military influencers out there pushing, Navy, Army, Marine, what they're pushing it. I'm not talking about the ones that are like the comedian people making the jokes and having a good time and all that. And it's more about the jokes and funniness and of their job or whatever. I'm not talking about those ones. I'm talking about the ones who are pushing the, for lack of better terms, the agendas of like, oh no, like you could do it both. You can do both and blah, blah. We know who that is, right? Those ones, I think there is what he's talking about. Like people see those and they just think, all right, yeah, cool, whatever, fucking don't care. But there's the other opposite side of that are the influencers, social media influencers, TikTokers, Instagram reels that are pushing out the bad side of being a veteran, right? And that negative always gets way more interaction and attraction, right? For whatever reason, people want more negative. It sucks, but like it's just what catches, So, this guy, he talks a lot of good stuff. I really
and make it even harder to pull those who have the qualifications to serve into our ranks. Thank you.
Yeah, they're kind of talking about like how hard it is to get qualified to serve, and you would think like, damn, man, I wasn't the most fit person joining, right? 18, chubby, and not even chubby. It's just like, I don't know what I was, like fat, skinny, I guess. Shit, and looking back on it, I wish I could have been like that still, but people grow up. But like, I didn't know, like I ran that mile and a half, and it was a long fucking mile and a half. Right when I first ran it, to be like, all right, yeah, you're good. It was a long mile and a half. Like, trust me, running down in Phoenix by the Metro Center Mall along the canal, I thought that was the longest fucking mile and a half ever. By the end of it, I don't think I'd ever ran a mile and a half before that. Yeah, in high school, a couple like PE days, or like we weren't going to run track, and so we ran it like once or twice. Even those, I was like fucking dying. Right, so that first mile and a half, that was the first time I ever ran that quote unquote long distance. All the other times I was just in the gym trying to be a fucking, trying to get jacked as a dumbass little 18-year-old. Okay. So if that was me then, fast forward 20 years later with like the decline in motherfuckers getting off their ass and going and doing anything, damn, that mile and a half for them must feel like a full on marathon, Here's a good one right here, right? So this is the chairman of the council or the committee, right? Mr. Bacon, right? Let me see, what does this say? Yeah, Chairman Bacon. I forget where he said it. He's like a Navy, I think he said Navy veteran or a veteran of one of the branches himself, right? So he's asking everyone whether number 1 and 2 quality of life factors for each branch, right? Sergeant Major of the Army.
Thank you, Chairman. That's a good one. And you could tell by the look on my face, I had to put some thought into that, because there's a few. And
The only other thing that bugs me is like how much like some of small talk joke stuff and it happens, right? But like sometimes it's like, yo. So he says paying compensation
to whether it's unaccompanied barracks or it's family housing topics. Those would probably be how I would rank order that. But as this panel knows, that's a credibly.
So immediately he comes out of the gate saying paying compensation, and then junior enlisted barracks and stuff, right? Let's see what McPon says.
Just get a feeling for where we should put our emphasis with that. Master Chief Petty Officer Honea.
I always knew his
Chairman,
name was
thank you.
Honea. Just got sounded
I
out.
believe that all the quality of life
This is a
pillars
good
are
answer.
equally important, and it depends on the service member you ask which of them is going to be most impactful to them, and all of them deserve our attention.
Right there, right? So that's exactly what I was talking to the sailors about. And thanks for whoever's joining us tonight. Go ahead and drop a comment. Let me know who you are and join this conversation. Right now, I'm at 48 minutes, 20 seconds in the quality of life hearing. Just Google it on YouTube, pull it up on on your iPad or whatever other device, right? So this is what I was talking about a couple sailors, right? When they said that they thought this hearing, they had heard that this hearing was for and about junior sailors only. And I was like, no, man, like, what the fuck you think? Like, you're the only one that is experiencing, bad quality of life, or that has a concern about quality of life. And I brought up what McPon just said, right? That quality of life issues, they're different for every person, okay? Some junior sailors might look at me and be like, well, Chief, what quality of life issue could you possibly have? You're buying a house, you own a home in San Diego, right? That's a monumental feat in itself. Your wife, they all know my wife has a good job, right? Like, you got kids, your kids go to school, you drive a nice truck, right? Like, all those things, they just look at that and be like, what quality of life problem or issue could you possibly have? You're not driving across to the barracks or the and even if it's the good barracks or the bad barracks or the big, like, they think, well, you have no issues. No. Just like McPon said, everybody has an issue. Everyone has a different issue that is quality of life or that affects their quality of life. Mine is childcare, right? Who's watching my kids when me and my wife are both working? Right? What options are available for that? One is like the CDC. Is the CDC open from 18 to 06 where we could drop our kids off so they could sleep over through the night and we have to pay for that? And then is it somewhere near where my wife could respond to or I could respond to if I'm on duty and there's an emergency? No, there isn't. The CDCs, they close. Boom. Pick them up 1,700. Great when you're mill to mill or something and one spouse has to be on shore duty and they're getting out and they could just let their chain of command know, hey, yeah, I got to go pick up my kids. Not a problem, right? Or even if you're mill to civ and your spouse doesn't work or works a job, right? We've talked about this. I placing jobs, careers, professions, right? My wife, I consider her in a profession. That's not that she's better than anyone. She is. No, but like she works 12 hours a fucking day, right? Or not every day, but on her nurse schedule, right? So that's and for other people, it's the quality of life of, as they get into, like, what jobs are being made available to spouses, what things are out there, our licenses. Something that affects Nikki is like licenses. If we pull Chalks and had to move it out of California, could she being reimbursed to get licensed, her RN license in another state? That kind of stuff starts helping families, right? But going back to what McPon just said about when you ask every sailor, their quality of life issue is going to be something else. You know what's a big quality of life issue in San Diego? How about fucking parking, right? As maybe dumb as that sounds, how about parking? How about can I when I go to work, do I have to leave the house at 4:30? Right? Drive 30 minutes and get to the parking lot by 5 because if I don't, I'm going to have to walk quarter mile, half mile, 10, 15-minute walk across base just to get to the ship. So what I do is I sleep and look, I'm sure it's any base out there. And Norfolk, I've been on Norfolk before, right? I think that might be even worse than San Diego. Okay. It's been a long time since I've been there, I don't remember everything in the layout, but yikes. Okay. Excuse me. So think about that. Like, that's a quality of life issue, for several sailors over there, right? The sailors that are not allowed to drive across 32nd Street from dry side to wet side because they live in housing or in like the Beacon or whatever, so they have to walk, right? There's a, what do you call that? A bus, a transportation that goes around base. When that's not running on time, that's a quality of life issue. Parking, quality of life issue. All right. So again, just like really like that the MCPON touched on every sailor, every troop out there, right? Soldier, airman, guardian, Marine, right? Everyone's going to have something different that touches them in the quality of life. And you have to think about that. So he does talk about, number one is pay, right? It is, and I'll turn him back on and we'll see if he gets in, if he says it right here.
One of those big.
There it is. So that's where he just said, like, the military pay and compensation, right? One of the biggest things you can do straight out the gate right now, this again, part of that conversation I had with those sailors the other day, right, was what would if immediately make your life better? More money. Sure. Mason Diddy said more money, more problems, right? Most sailors will take more problems with the more money. Just more, any troop out there, right? Marine, soldier, whatever, anyone, right? Because as soon as you have more of that money and you can put that towards more of the problems that you have that deal with money, which those are always the first thing. And MCPON gets into it. Oh man, MCPON, he has a great line coming up here. We see if we hit it. But where he talks about, one of the ladies in there, part of the committee, starts talking about food insecurities. And he mentioned about when he was a young sailor with his wife and they had food insecurities because the bills had to get paid. And the first part that he took, the money he took away from was his commissary money to make sure those bills were paid. And then whatever was left of the commissary money is what he went and got commissary with. Right. So let's see what else he keeps saying.
Very big problem, and it's not going to be solved, by Saturday. It's not going to be solved by this 1 year or the next maybe 5 years even. So we need to start on that today. Otherwise, we're not going to be in front of this problem as it starts to bend in that curve. So those would be my top two, but I think all of them require equal attention.
Thank you, Sergeant Major.
Again, so good job in like trying to make sure that we don't get wrapped up around one thing where we lose sight that there's many things that need to be taken care of, right? Let me know in the comments, right? What if we did a massive, because the only one that doesn't say it is Master Sergeant of the Marine Corps right here, Ruiz, right? Shout out Master Sergeant, right? He's kind of like, hey, look, it's been brought up twice. I'm not going to bring it up again. But yes, pay and compensation. If Congress was to increase pay and compensation, not 5% like they just did, really, that 5% ain't shit. Tell me, what do you think would be the pay compensation raise next year, January 1st, that the force would need that would make a lot of quality of life issues go away, that would make recruiting more enticing? What word am I trying to say? More lucrative. There's a word. What is that word? Let me know what that word is I'm trying to say. I don't know what it is. But I think minimum a 25% pay raise in base pay. I've seen the arguments on Reddit about how that's fucking crazy, that we shouldn't be serving to become millionaires. Trust me, a 25% fucking pay raise is not going to make me a millionaire. All it's going to do is fucking make the life I live more comfortable. Okay. I'm not going to get rich off that. It just, I would be more comfortable. we do good here in the Moore household, right? But that would be better, right? And good, better, best. I'm just at better. I'm not even at fucking best yet. Okay, so I think it should be a fucking 50%, right? Straight up. And this is something later on here that Big Bon talks about. The jobs that we do, from the brand new recruit that's out on a warship, in a squadron, anywhere, all the way up, except for, the senior chiefs and master chiefs that just don't do shit. That's a joke. Just kidding. It's not. Maybe. I don't know. You tell me. If it touches your heart, like and subscribe. Leave a comment below. But the shit that we do, we don't get paid enough for the shit that we do. You're a security guard for, 8 hours a week, right? But you're a security guard 8 hours a week, the gun qualifications, all that shit, right? You're a security guard one moment, you're a supply manager the next moment, you're a mental health professional, as Mick Pond said earlier or late last year, right? We're first line mental health fucking people, right? So just all kinds of things to think about there of like what. Oh, that's messed up there. Let's put that right there. We got Joe. Hey, Joe. 15% base pay and COLA for high-cost areas like San Diego. Abso-fucking-lutely. 15% would be bad. It would be, at 5%, I did some rough math. That may be around like 900-ish, maybe, a month. Just don't try to fucking fool me over motherfucking 5% and think that I'm just going to be happy, right? Because I'm not. Look at historically last 20, 30 years or whatever, like 5%, like the average, and you could get into the politics of it, of who raises it, how much, and you want this kind of president, what the fuck ever. Okay, look at it. It all averages out to like fucking 2.5 or 3. Okay, so 5, yeah, it's above average, but that might be this year, and then the next few years, it's going to drop back down. Doesn't matter who the fucking president is. And then might spike back up again. Okay, so miss me with that. And yes, COLA for high-cost areas like San Diego. Hawaii gets COLA. Apparently, San Diego is a more expensive city to live in than Honolulu. So how long does it fucking take for Congress and our senior enlisted leaders here testifying on quality of life to kick someone in the ass and get us some fucking COLA? $500, $600, like what? Like I don't even know. Like however you need to fucking math that shit. Okay, but $500 in COLA for San Diego. Thank you for paying my gas, because that's all that shit's covering for the month. But that's huge. That's huge, because where people live in San Diego, you're driving. That gas tank is out of here. Inflation cancels out 5%. Yes, absolutely, Joe. Inflation is going to that 5% we just got is trying to catch up to inflation. So we're sitting still at like a net zero actual pay raise because gas is fucking $5 a fucking gallon. You know what I'm saying? Joe also says we've actually been at pay deficits when you account for inflation over the past 5 to 10 years. Yeah. Why is that? I want that bigger. I'm sorry, I'm fucking up here. There we go. Yeah. So, anyways, let's get back into. I'm sorry, I lost that.
Ruiz.
Hold on, pause. Gotta check. All right. I thought I heard something.
Chairman, thank you. I'm going to put pay and compensation aside because I think that's. But if I had to go right after that, unaccompanied housing for us is number one.
So if you're any junior sailor out there right now, right, and you've not watched this, but you happen to listen to me, thank you, first of all. But if at any time you're out here thinking that big Navy or fucking big Army, big Marine, big Air Force, whatever, isn't got your best interest in mind, you should watch this, because all they do is talk about you in the unaccompanied housing, what, right? And motherfucking spouses. Barely ever do they talk about, we'll say, senior enlisted or non-enlisted, right? I mean, they're enlisted, but they're talking about for everyone, okay? Active duty, okay? They talk about what could we do for the civilians, i.e. your spouse, your dependents, your kids, and what can we do for junior enlisted? Because junior officers are not staying in barracks, right? So junior enlisted, all right? And in the middle of that, the actual service member, for the few instances of pay and compensation, a lot of it is directed towards those efforts because, as they say so many times, those efforts affect the service member. If at home is good, then I'm better at work. Fair. But again, the first thing we need to do is give me and y'all watching some more fucking money. After that, I can better take care of that, and then we'll work on everything. Red Eye Rich, you're a dork. What's up, fat boy? Joe, he's talking to you. Y'all take that as what you want. Red Eye Rich, what's up, little buddy? Thanks for tuning in tonight, and stay safe out there in the wet streets with your little kitty cat. Okay. Motherfuckers. No, check out that view. That's a good view too, huh? That's camera 2 over there. Say hi to camera 2. Let's go back to Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps.
Support in helping us achieve the Barracks 2030 campaign is crucial, and I look forward to speaking to you in the way that we want to deliver a human performance.
I'll say one thing. Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps here in his opening statements, when he talked about that the Marine Corps has no peer adversaries, and talk about how the Marine Corps fucking wins fights. Hey man, that's some motivational shit. Catch that in their next fucking whoever's out there in the Corps fucking doing your TikToks and stuff. Cut that one up into a fucking reel, into your YouTube short, into your TikTok talking, and because that's that moto shit that Marines are known for, right? Honestly, I thought it was a little bit of a stab at CNO 33, right? And when she delivered her priorities or whatever, it wasn't right. He wouldn't do that. But like when she said in hers, like our near peer adversaries, talking about over there in the 7th Fleet, right? And he comes out and says like we have the fucking Corps has no peers. Which, hey, look, if you're gonna walk into that room, walk in like you got the biggest one, right? That way, motherfuckers know. Okay, Marines did it before World War II through the Pacific, and I think under Sergeant Major Ruiz's leadership here in the Corps, they might be ready to fucking do it again when that time calls. So I gotta give them love. I got an uncle, my Theo Richard, that was a Marine in Vietnam. So
of the initial training,
we'll talk all the shit we need to, but they're after it. They get after it.
behavior looks like.
Thank you. Chief Master Sergeant Bass.
Sir, I'm going to agree with my
There we
brother
go.
on my right, Mick Pond, with respect to all of our quality of life challenges and opportunities are all equal, and it depends on who you ask. I
Yep.
would also offer that
There we
the
go.
reason why it depends on who you ask is today's modern military family looks
Yeah.
very different. The service member today,
That's it.
you have more single service members, you have more dual working.
All right. So right there, right? Chief Master Sergeant, Air Force, Bass. Absolutely. And this is something I say to people, right? Like, this isn't your 1940s fucking military where the man is fucking marching off to war and the woman's at home fucking knitting with the wives club, hoping that they come home, taking care of the kids and run the groceries. Okay. Sometimes it's the wife marching off to war. Sometimes it's it's fucking different, right? But it's like Congress and people haven't caught up to what it is today. Okay, the dual working service members, the single service members, right? I could get into that part of it. I won't right now. It's an issue. Some issues are self-created. I'll just say that. Some are not. Okay. I am not a person that thinks that just because you self-create an issue that all of a sudden you should not be held to the same standard or anything else of that everyone else is being held to, right? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here because I want to get to some of these questions. Here's one from the ranking member, Houlihan.
What Chief Master Sergeant Bass was also talking about, which is the look of the typical military family having changed and evolved over the last decades. The demographics of our military community have shifted. Programs and policies need to as well. I'm going to focus specifically on the fact that women who... are now about 17.5% of our service and more likely to be single parents as well. And military recruits are more
Like, I'm gonna get into that topic. I'm gonna have y'all know my boy Nick. We probably gonna talk about that one some more, right? I don't believe we should change and make policies based on specific demographics, right? I think if we're making policies, it should be, Navy fleet-wide impacting. We should not just be making them just to make sure one demographic is okay, right? Because what about then the only thing that happens is the other demographic looks at that and be like, what about me? Where's my rule for my demographic, right? So I'm not a fan of that, okay? If we're putting things in for quality of life, and again, this is why I will fucking bang that drum on pay and compensation, because that's what, if you do a 25%, 15%, 50% base pay increase across all of the DOD for active duty service members, that's about as equal and fair as a motherfucker could get. Okay. Now, if you start only making up rules, they're like, okay, hold on. If you have these boxes checked because of decisions you made or because life sucked at a moment and this is what you've been dealt, so we're going to make this rule just for you? What the fuck? Like, that's the shit that really begin me. That's the shit that be making me feel like I'm not meant for this job anymore, because I still can't grow a fucking beard. I can, but I'm not allowed to. So where's that demographic put? Don't get me started on beards. Come on now.
Than their counterparts are. So more than ever, we need to make sure that we have this.
Well, let's back that one up.
Likely to be single parents as well, and military recruits are more likely to have children before 25 than their counterparts are.
Why is that? Why? I know why. All right, but again, like, I don't even know how to address that one. Why? But motherfuckers be going on deployment, coming home, and be getting that cutty and be having deployment babies. And they're 19, 18, thinking they're in love with their high school sweetheart. And then boom, boom, pregnant, boom, boom, divorced, because life is hard in the military and hours are long, and they didn't know what they're fucking getting into. And all of a sudden now they got a kid, right? They got a kid. I got a kid right here sneaking in on me. Hold up. I got one kid ready for bedtime. That's right, because we're slumber partying on the couch. So, again, service members are having children before 25. Slow down, right? You do not have to have a deployment baby right when you get home from your first deployment. Take it easy. You live in paycheck to paycheck anyways. Be smart. Don't do that, okay? Don't be falling in love with your boat boo. Don't be trying to get pregnant with your boat boo. Like, just all of that. Those are. Look, kids are great. I love mine. There's no way in hell before 25 I was fucking ready to have kids. Not financially, not mature wise, none of that. Sometimes it happens, and you rebound and you recover, and your fucking kid grows up great, and you had a great time, and that's cool, and that's great. Okay, but maybe I'm just fucking too old school enough to think like that's not a smart move, and you should probably, and that's not even old school. Old school motherfuckers were having kids at 18, 19, right? Popping them out, 20, 21, just like this, right? So, I don't know, just take it easy, man. Slow down. You're not doing yourself any favors popping them out like that.
Make sure that we have this quality, affordable child care sewn up.
And
I know
there it is, right? The child care thing. If you having kids and you not thinking about child care, you putting yourself into that quality of life problem, right? And we trying to fight for you. I'm here telling you, let's get pay raises going, but you making bad decisions with it. Like, we can't do that. We can't do that. Let's get forward a little bit.
Though we are absolutely cross-leveling everything we find that works. For example, I was just down at Fort Bliss, and we don't.
Sergeant Major of the Army gave a lot of love to Fort Bliss and things they're doing down there. I forget where that's even at, but
and not enough the employee lacking amount of employees to reach.
Just skip forward on it.
In child care providers, would you be able to share in the remaining section of my time why?
These are spouses, partners who are dedicated to serving their communities in this specific area. So how and why are we transferring service members from one place to another, and not also taking a look at who's working at that CDC and how can we move that person in a transparent way very quickly to the next duty station? So that
Shit. God. Bad. Fucking. I was just going off on a whole thing and I didn't fucking unmute. God damn it. Thanks, guys. I was talking about, okay, so I was just talking about fucking, damn it, I was on such a good one. So Sergeant Major Marine Corps talking about moving Marines out when their spouses work at CDCs, right? And how that ends up opening up a gap. I don't even know how. I think I was muted this whole time, wasn't I? Let me know if you heard anything about what I was talking about. But when you move a spouse out of the CDC, right? Now that's you don't have that. I want to say watch center. You don't have that care at that CDC. So if you pull out one spouse out of the CDC, one employee, that's 10 less kids being watched. That's 10 families can't put their kids in there no more. That's what I was talking about. And then I was going off about how in the Navy, when detailers are telling you that you got to be a well-rounded sailor, so try not to live in one area for too long. But you got all these fucking mass chiefs, you got all these chiefs, all these people that have been in fucking one location their whole fucking career or half of their career, and they've been advancing just fucking fine and making all the right phone calls so they could continue to stay there, and they hop from fucking ship to ship, ship to shore, and they fucking hook themselves up, right? That's what I was talking about. I can't repeat everything. Mouth is dry. I need another drink. Anyways, so yeah, it's a crock of shit, right? There should be some kind of mechanism that when you are detailing, you can inform your detailer of what your spouse's situation is, where that can play an effect. and not some shit where you could just make it up and be like, hey, yeah, oh well, no, actually, my wife, or my husband, they got this kind of job, this or that, blah blah blah. If they have a job that impacts the branch, the whether it's whatever branch you're in, if it impacts DOD, in our case, when I say my wife works at the fucking ICU at Balboa, right, as a DOD fucking federal employee, that someone should look at that and be like, well, shit, maybe that's going to impact their quality of life if we move him. So, okay, let's see what we can do to that. But instead, the only thing, and it mentions it here, the only thing they get is the EFMP, right, which is now being abused by so many family members too. Let's march on here.
We don't have two gaps. So we found
was
that
fucking
staffing
muted.
for us has been the issue, and we've gone from a 48% staff turnover at the CDCs to down underneath 20%. So at every level that we can, we're getting.
There you go.
Providing 100% free childcare for your first child, and
There's some too.
25% for the other one.
Okay. Air Force, Chief Master Sergeant Bass, she talked a lot about a lot of programs that the Air Force has. Right here, she's talking about if you come and you become a provider at a CDC, your first kid 100% free to go to that CDC. Second kid 25% off. I think she meant 25% for so it's you pay 25% of it. That's huge. Huge. One kid free and the other one I'm only paying 25%. That's $100 a fucking week versus $400 a week. Right? Or instead of $800 for my two kids to be watched, I'm only paying $100. Why? Because I work there, right? Now, working at CDC, it's not for everyone. But if you're doing it, you should get some kind of fucking good program out of it, some good kind of thing, right? It should be incentivized somehow. That's great. But why can the Air Force do that? Why isn't that a DOD-wide fucking thing? But only the Air Force, like they're the only ones that fucking be able to pull this money out of their ass to make that work? Fuck that. Like, that needs to be everybody, man. Like whatever we got to do, we got to get on that.
Staffing and helped us greatly to include the work I think that you all have done in helping us to get the MILCON and the
I'm skipping forward.
Responsible for the island's missile defense. And
Talk about Guam here.
Work outdoors in muddy fields and the hot suns. And conditions are more like a battlefield during peacetime. And it has come to my attention that members of the Task Force Thailand also
Mute this. Oh, this was a good one.
To make service during peacetime. And
Check
it
this
has
out.
come to my attention that members of the Task Force Thailand also struggle to access programs which could boost morale, such as Space A flights.
Yup. Space
What
A.
can be done to make the service of the Task Force Thailand more comfortable?
Excuse
and
me.
are you aware of this issue, such as accessing Space A flights? Of course, we're way out there in the middle of the ocean, right? We got these troops, and we're going to get
go,
more
Guam.
with the 360.
So, Space A for the space availability flights, right? Catching an Air Force flight, catching a Navy flight, going from, Guam back to that. This would be great.
Thank you for that question. Great to see you. And I'm actually on my way to your great state. I think I take off Monday. I'm going to spend 3 days there.
Well, let's go to talk about it.
I'll leave that one alone for our soldier service members that are there. And so I am aware of the flight issue, and we're actually working that. I'm going to take a look at that with my teammates at a certain COCOM that help with Space A flights and the frequency of them. But
No, that is something that should be looked at, right? If we're like, that would be a huge quality of life, not even just for Guam, also for Japan, right? For everyone that is overseas. That's one of the things when I first came in, people talk about, oh yeah, all these Space A flights, they happen all the time. They're going to be everywhere. You could take Space A from fucking San Diego, jump on Space A and be in Europe, and no way, right? One, it has to actually make it there on time. It has to run on time. Us getting home back in there in May, sure, there's a hurricane that had hit Guam, right, or typhoon, whatever you want to call it, but like it's always like, well, no, especially for the Navy, nope, that one broke down. Nope, that one broke down. Nope, that one's delayed. Nope, that one's not running. Like it needs to be. I don't know if enough people aren't using it. One is it's probably too expensive. I don't know, but for anyone overseas, the space age flights, that should be a lot more achievable for them and their families to get back and forth. It's not going to be an every weekend thing, right? But like instead of spending the $2,000 on the ticket to fly from Japan or Guam back to the West Coast and then further on to the East Coast, if that's where you're going, why is there not at least like why not during just the holiday season ramp up those numbers, right? And make sure that there's more availability flights around those time frames, right? Everyone knows that, you know, the first period somewhere from the 5th to the 28th, and then from the 29th until like the 10th in there or something, right? Like it's not a secret of how we split that holiday time frame. You could ramp up Space A from the 13th to the 16th, and then from the 26th to the 30th, you could ramp it up again. Like, come on. I would think besides it's a money issue, right? Besides that, that should be an easy problem to solve. Excuse me. Check out this one.
More mental health and primary care providers in the Indo-PACOM region. And I appreciate your constant going back and forth as well and helping our troops there. But please expand, please.
This is MACPON coming up.
Thank you.
Half a day?
And yes, I spent quite a bit of my time over in Guam. It's an area of concern for me for all the right reasons, as Sergeant Major of the Army was just describing. Recruiting problems are going to cause us issues.
Yeah, it's about the recruiting, sure. These recruiting issues are going to be in the medical fields, the doctors, right, the nurses, those, and the Navy's not paying a lot of people, doctors, any more money. An 03 doctor ain't making no money than an 03 anyone else, right? But they went to a lot of school to be that mental health person. They're going to make a lot more money out in town. What do you think they're going to do?
Taken over there, whether that's in housing, whether that's an expansion of medical care and access to that. Commissaries is another one that I'm.
Yeah, keep going. Keep going. I am parched.
Marines and families to get there. One idea, just really quickly, is from the Commandant too. It's expensive to get a family back home.
Yep.
Right. So once or twice a year, how do we get that into the budget? How do we get that to those families? So
get those Space A flights going.
A predictable way that they will have funding.
Look, I just gave you the predictable dates.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
I don't care. There's some of these questions where, here we got the food insecurity one coming up. I'm gonna skip up to MACPON when he talks about this.
For just a few more thoughts on this, I'm joined today with my wife Evelyn sitting behind me. We've been married now for 34 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Going back to our younger life. Oftentimes we would get done with paying our bills. By bills, I mean I'd pay my electric and my rent, and we would have about $50 to go grocery shopping with for the month.
Y'all notice when he was paying bills, it was rent and electric. It wasn't and cell phone and internet and all these things. Yeah, times change, huh?
My commissary bill. Right. And so sailors today, service members today, and their families that are stressed with their paying compensation and their housing allowance, they're going to make decisions. Yeah. And oftentimes the places they're going to take those cuts is going to be in their commissary bills. They're not going to go look at the ribeye steaks. They're going to go look at the ground beef. They're going to look at the family.
Yo, how like
they're going to make decisions.
that's just too real right there, right? Like you ain't like, come on, man. You out here, we grew up off that. Hey, it's hamburger, and it's not the 90% lean, it's the 80% lean, and we gotta scoop the fat out of it after it's cooked. You know what I mean?
To solve a problem through the basic
Here it is.
allowance by more appropriately addressing, holistic changes to our pay and compensation models.
They do use the
so
word
we can get
holistic
after
a lot.
the root problem and give people the money they need to leave a stable and secure life. Thank you.
That's it, man. McPawn crushed that one to me, right? But he used it's anecdotal, but like acknowledging that he's lived that life, right? A big difference in time from 34 years ago until now, right? Where he's talking about the bills are so minimal. You could probably keep your bills a little bit like that, but also like how do you communicate without a cell phone? Everyone wants Wi-Fi, something like that, right? So, bills are a lot more nowadays, but excuse me, I think again the place you're going to take it out first is your commissary money, right? And you're going to eat out. A lot of people eat out. It's not good for you. I like eating out too. It's not good for me. But sometimes it's easier to go get that 99-cent menu than to go buy groceries. And it shouldn't be like that. But we don't have enough money. A lot of junior sailors don't have enough money in the bank. They're like, I could go get these 99-cent burgers, and that's going to last me like 3 days. If I go buy this shit at the commissary, one, I can't even fucking cook in my barracks. So, yeah, I'm going to just go get fast food, right?
Go ahead, Sergeant Major Weimer.
The value
Skip forward here.
proposition to serve our nation has to be strong enough that it will draw people into our ranks. And that, in quality of life, is one of those values of service. Education benefit, serving your nation. Then we get into specifics. Quality of housing. Availability of housing. Do I make enough income to balance if I can have the same type of career in the civilian sector?
Boom, that's a big one. That's a huge one, right? And there's other parts in here where they talk about like, it's towards the end of this, I think. We're about halfway through this. But where they talk about like, why are people getting out? Because people, sailors, service members are looking like, hold on, I don't get paid enough to do this shit. My own sailors look at me like, damn, Chief, you still doing this? Like, why the hell would you still do this? Like, do you get, hell no, I don't get paid enough, right? But that is becoming the driving factor more than the service to country, okay? A lot of the younger generation, a lot of them see what politicians over there in D.C., how they're getting over on things, like all the, pick whatever side you want to fucking pick. It doesn't matter to me, okay? But like the information is out there. People see it. Young generation sees it. The corruptness is felt. The corruptness, whether it's true or not, it is felt, right? It's believed. That trickles to those young civilians and makes them think, why would I, what's for me in that, right? So, and again, back to like the negative social media influencers of the military saying, nope, I came out worse. I have all these mental health issues now. Like, I don't know how many mental health issues you can have after just 4 years. I'm not saying you don't have them. Just, it's a question, just let me know in the comments. Right. But like, it's all those things. And it just makes younger generations think like, why would I want to do that? Right. Why? And there's more shit that these ones on the YouTube talk about is like coming out broken. Right. I really, really would like some VA disability, and I'm going to try really hard to make sure all my aches and pains are accounted for and see what I get rated for, right? But besides being older and a lot more gray hair and having an extra 50 pounds on me than when I came in, really, like, I'm pretty fucking healthy, right? Yeah, there's some joints that hurt. Nothing like I've had nothing crazy or serious happen, right? If my joints would fucking hurt less if I lost some more weight, right? But let's keep listening.
Broader view of that as well.
Excuse me.
When you're young, a young person, and you're going through high school. How much of the job market opportunity you have is focused on, hey, and serving your nation is also a good career?
Yep.
Or is that seeming a little like,
here it is.
If you can't get another job, then maybe you need to join your military. It's
boom. There it is. How many of us were that? it was me. I had a job. I had a pretty decent job, right? I was working in a doctor's office. I had somewhere I could have gone. I ain't saying it was going to be great, but I had a little path, small little path that I could have walked. But then it was like, nah, I'll join the military with my buddies. Okay. Military is always considered the second option or the last option. Well, I guess I'll go join the military, right? And for a lot of people, like it turns out great. For others, it's like, ew, no, why would I want to do that? I could just go make content. I could just go start a feet finder or some shit, right? And make money that there's, as my boy Frankie told me, right, when we had him on the podcast a long time ago, right? Like, if you really a hustler, you're going to find a way to make the money that you need to make. And so, it's so true today in today's society. Like, there's a million ways that you can find to make that money. And it doesn't always have to do with the military anymore. Like the military, it's a further second option. It's a lot further last option.
We say it. Access for recruiters to get into our schools and universities and colleges right now, in some places, is still strained in the military. Rather than talk about the tens of thousands of Americans right now that are forward deployed, protecting our national defense, supporting and defending our Constitution.
Yep.
It's a very powerful message. Things to kind of turn and reverse and think about, if nothing else.
I'm going to skip forward some. Talk about this Army prep course. Skipping forward. Oh, Fort Bliss, El Paso, I think, right? They go through a lot of like the left side of the table here. Here's something they talk about a lot on the Army side here at the Fort Bliss thing, right? Is like the relationship with the community and stuff. I'm not sure what relationship the local military base wants or needs with the local community. I'm not saying don't have one. I think it's important to have one. I don't know what, maybe, I don't know, what does that look like? Like if it's San Diego, that 32nd Street, that's not a relationship with like San Diego proper. That's actually more of a relationship with National City, which I don't know if they still do it. I know a long time ago now, like 2016-ish, 15, 16, they would do a National City, like Navy cleanup National City thing, where your command was signed up. We did this, and it was really fun. It really was. Your command signs up. The people from the command go volunteer, and then they have a competition of who can collect the most trash in like this from that street to this street, whatever, however big it is, square mile or whatever, right? But it's like fan out, pick up all the trash, hit the alleyways, trash bags, just walk through the neighborhoods and pick up all the trash, right? What was really cool about it is like a lot of people show up with trucks, and you just start driving up and down the damn alleyways and stuff and find all the furniture that gets dumped, that gets thrown out, and you bring it all back. It was a park down. I think it was they got the Veterans Park down there. You bring it all back there, and then you got to like display the trash that you picked up, and you would like build like a little like thing out of it to be like, yep, this is what we built out of all our trash. Like, I don't know how to describe it better than that. And then, they'd be like, oh, yep, that's, this command picked up the most trash. It was fun. It was, and here, but that's not like, it was engagement with, if it was like the mayor there or whoever, city council people, it was engagement with them, but it wasn't engagement with the community. They're not the community. They're part of it, but they're not the real community, right? You know what I'm saying? So I don't know what that looks like. I'd be interested to do something like that again if it comes across the email. It's cool, it's fun, but again, I don't know how it helps, or again, they talk about it in Fort Bliss and stuff. I just don't know.
To come to El Paso and to Fort Bliss, and one of these days I will, but I was with
see what Mick Pond says here.
Naval Operations in the bustling city of Paris for the Paris Naval Conference. So El Paso or Paris, and I chose to go with my boss. I think you can understand.
That's funny. McPon cracking jokes. You got Sergeant Major over the Marine Corps over there fucking laughing too. He's like, "Yeah, I've fucking gone to Paris too."
Visit, understand that community.
Oh, hold on, we
Look
got
forward to
kids.
An opportunity to sit down.
What's up? All right, let's get back into it.
Discuss with you. We have a lot of our sailors that come from the great city of El Paso.
Mhm.
A lot of patriots there.
Yep.
Out of time. We have plenty of sand committee.
I don't know what this. We got plenty of sand.
Serve. As a Navy veteran, a Navy wife, Navy mom now, I certainly feel like
This was like a Virginia
a
Beach
little bit of
representative here on
different
the
insight,
quality of
and
life.
I know I've had different conversations with almost all of you. In my district, it is inadequate on all fronts. I know we've made some progress on family housing. I feel like privatized has been a great model. I would love to see that expanded
Look,
to unaccompanied.
I like that. There's and there's a couple people out there are veterans and stuff, and I think that's important. Like to have veterans on these committees, at least at some point, so they have some inkly little small understanding of what's being talked about, right? They've seen it, maybe they lived it. But like the privatized housing, I think it's a scam. I think we're being fucking robbed. We're being robbed because we're not holding those privatized people that we're paying those BAH checks to. We're not holding them to not their fucking feet to the fire. Like put their head in the fire underwater until they're fucking, stop wiggling, right? Because some of that housing that the families live in are complete ass, right? They're shitty. They're old as hell. As the Sergeant Major Marine Corps talks about here shortly, like some shit just needs to be fucking torn down and rebuilt completely. We need to stop going to, they treat it like, especially in the Navy, like they treat it like in the Navy, once over dust, twice over rust. That's how they treat this fucking privatized housing. Why? Because the less maintenance and man hours and money they got to put into it, the more they're making. So at least what I've seen, right? I've been over to the fucking housing there up there on Arrow Drive or whatever, fucking Murphy Canyon. Is not impressive, right? So yeah,
Housing, we need to think outside
we'll
the
see.
box. Again, challenged by an inadequate defense budget.
Mm-hmm.
How can we do things?
Inadequate defense budget. Give me a bigger defense budget and make it go to the shipmates. 25%.
Without
give this video a like if you want your service members to get 25% pay increase next January 1st, 2025. That should blow us up. Let's go.
Of patriotism and of the real.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's skip forward. So,
to who you want to be. Wow, that would look pretty awesome, right?
Could look
All these
awesome.
Programs that we have, thank you, appreciate it. We are working hard to inform the force, but it is the very beginning of a service member's life. How do we
look? Sergeant Major Marine Corps. This is like the difference between Mick Pond, who bosun mate. He has that bosun mate voice, like fucking. He cursed 100 million people in his career, and is used to yelling across those deck plates. Sergeant Major Marine Corps, though, he has that. I don't know what I don't know what the hell he did in the Marines. It'd be cool to find out more about him, right? But he has that very quiet, I'm gonna fucking kill you voice. It's cool. I like it. Just like the Navy Marine Corps blue and green team, right?
The other 8 just needs to know somebody cares. And so while the nation might be short mental health providers, we're not short of leaders. And so we've got to make sure that our leadership development and caring and compassion is strong. Thank you.
100%.
Okay.
Thank you. My time's expired. I yield back.
Yield it back.
With you all about these issues.
This one's.
Master
It's not this one.
Junia, I wanted to start with you. I was really pleased to hear in your testimony that
This is San Diego rep right here.
World are going to be benefiting from the provision I was able to get into the FY24 NDAA that provides the Secretary of the Navy the authority to grant BAH.
Mick Pond posted this one on his
friendships
social media.
Undergoing maintenance.
I had heard from many sailors in San Diego about how much this authority was needed, and I was grateful we were able to make it happen. I was wondering if you could speak to this, how this provision will improve
This is big
quality
right
of
here.
life for junior enlisted service members in densely populated cities, and also when you anticipate the Secretary of the Navy will first need to make use of this new authority.
It's gonna make use of. It should be making use of it right now. Like, what are we waiting for?
I thank you for making this change and the flexibility and the authority to pay those sailors to secure their own housing. And then that will no longer then have to be
There
an
it is.
afterthought of the maintenance budget. It'll already be programmed into the manpower account, and it'll give those sailors then immediate separation
Yep.
from their work life to their home.
That's huge right there.
Currently, as it stands, or as it stood, we were challenged in that regard, much as you saw when we ended up with too many aircraft carriers and submarines in HII a few years ago, and we were resource constrained and be able to house all those sailors at one time.
Yo, you know, and he I think he gets it, and if not here, he keeps going to somewhere else, right? But talking about the separating work from like personal life, and he talked about it earlier. The Navy is so unique that when you're junior and you have a rack on the ship, that's your rack in life. A rack, your bunk, your bed, right? That's your living quarters. When you go out and have a good time at night, guess where you're going fucking back to? You're going back to that ship, crawling back in that rack where you spent the last 6 months, 9 months on deployment, waking up. Yeah, sure. Yeah, you could get chow right there if you'd like. You could get lunch there if you'd like. But if you'd like to, who would fucking like to? You just did that for 6 months, 9 months. Who wants to keep doing that? Right? Nobody. Nobody in their right mind. You need some separation. You need to walk off the brow at the end of the day, and you need to go home somewhere. If it's the barracks, if it's the beacon, whatever, your own apartment, you need something else. You cannot just walk off the brow to be like, I'm getting off the fucking ship because I have to. Excuse me. Only to be walking back on a few hours later when the rec center closes or when you've had your fill at the bar or whatever, and just be crawling back in there. Like, that sucks. That sucks.
This authority, this gives our secretary much more flexibility to make that part of the manpower account. Program in the neighborhood, on average, 800 sailors per aircraft carrier.
It's a lot of people, 800.
We don't have barracks.
Let's get forward a little bit.
Wait lists at CDCs are very long.
Mm-hmm.
In San Diego recently, we had roughly 2,600 children on the wait list in November. Sometimes
2,600 children on the wait list to get into the CDC.
Under the age of 12 months. I've heard that infant care, in particular for my constituents, has been a real issue. And many of the service members end up needing
for some.
more leave to care for their infants, but their parental leave is often exhausted, and they haven't yet received a spot in a CDC or able to find infant care.
So, we all know the pregnancy instruction just came out, right? Good changes overall, but some things I don't like. Maybe I'll touch on that one. I don't get pregnant. I'm done having kids. But, again, it's just some things on there that I not even complaints, that wouldn't be the right word. Critiques I had, questions I have about it. But here again, like, how much parental leave does one need or deserve? Right? Like, at some point you're still in the military and you still have to come back to work. Is 3 months, 6 months, right? How much of that can you take and still expect not to start falling? And this is part of the new instruction, right? You're going to be in an in-rated command area doing like your in-rate job. But if you say, no matter where you're at, like if you're gone 6 months out of the year, like how can we report on you equally against everyone else that was there a year? That's a question, right? It's a tough question. Like, maybe for those 6 months you did fucking crush it. Maybe for those 6 months you didn't. Maybe, I don't know. It's tough questions, but again, it's just more of like how much is enough for military members, not for civilians. Totally different fucking conversation. If a civilian, they start awarding people 6 months, a whole year off or something, cool, do it. That's over to you. But in the military, like at some point, you do have to get back to this mission, this job. If not, then get out. That's why I want to retire, because I don't want to leave the kids anymore, right? Even though we're way past the infant stage, I don't want to leave them anymore, right? So yeah, I want to retire and do that. decisions that you have to make for yourself and your family.
If any of you have heard this, similar stories about this lack of infant care, and if there's any thing you're trying to do to address that situation, whether it's extended leave or telework options, anything like that, to any of you who want to answer.
Oh, the extended leave and telework.
By saying
that
is a leadership problem. Leadership needs to be involved in helping solve this problem for that sailor that finds himself in that situation. No sailor should be felt like they're alone in solving that problem.
Okay.
We'll begin there.
Yes.
That is my expectation of leaders across our Navy.
That's a very good Chief Lee answer, right? We can help so far, though. After like, we call the CDC, and the CDC says, as she just referenced, sorry, but you're on the list, and there's 2,600 other babies and children ahead of you. What other means do I have to help this sailor? Except be like, hey, let's hit Google and see fucking what's in the area of where you live where you can get some childcare done. And then let's make sure we get you set up with the application to apply for whatever the assistance is to get that money back. Right. So, or not to get the money back, but to help you pay for that childcare. Outside of that, like, what do you want? I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what else to do other than those things. Right. Let's check all the CDCs in the area. Have you checked, and that's one of those things like, okay, but I live in South Bay and I work on 32nd Street or I work on 32nd Street and the only CDC available is Point Loma. If there's one there, I'm sure there's a CDC over there somewhere, right? I don't know. You tell me if you're, I don't know. My kids never went to the CDC, right? So you tell me I got to wake my kid up. I got to drive all the way to Point Loma, drop my kid off at what time? What time is CDC open? How about that one? Someone answer that one for me in the chat. What time does the CDC open? 6? So I dropped the kid off at 6 and I still got to haul ass back over to 32nd Street and still make it back on time by 7? Until Libex or whatever. Like, so there's those things that, like, no matter how great of a leader you are, you cannot always solve every sailor's problems when they're that big of a problem, right? Because the bigger problem is the CDC, there's not enough, and there's not enough spaces for children to get in there, right? A wait list of 4,000, there's no fucking helping with that. I'm sorry, there isn't, right? Like, what do you want me to do? You want me to go in there and fight somebody to knock the other 3,099 kids off so my sailor's kid can get on there?
To address
I don't
your
know.
specific concern, yeah, that is our biggest gap of care, are those from 0 to 5. And so we're continuing to try to find creative ways to solve that problem.
Your biggest gap in care is 0 to 5. And I don't mean to sound like I'm talking shit to McPon, right? But let's go. Lincoln says increase basic pay. You know it. Yeah, come on. Let's get those petitions going. Let's increase that basic pay. 0 to 5. You know why your biggest gap is 0 to 5? Because at 5, parents start putting them into school, into pre-K, into kinder. So they're out of the CDC and they're now going to school. That's why your biggest gap is 0 to 5. So I know the statistic. It's in his binder. He's reading it or he knows it. Someone gave it to him, right? But as a parent of one that's 0 to 5 and one that's just north of that, that's why. So no shit. That's what I'm saying. No shit. That's where the problem is. Okay. If that's where the problem is, that's where the problem is always going to be. Okay, is 0 to 5. Fix that. The problem is not going to change, right? That data isn't going to change. It's always going to be 0 to 5. So figure out what we got to do to make more CDCs or get more employees to watch those 0 to 5 kids. It's because they're after 5 they're in school. Duh.
What we're doing is through fee
What are we doing?
especially in our fleet concentration areas and metropolitan areas like San Diego.
Yep.
So we're making a lot of headway there. We
This is good.
continue to
We are.
expel
Sure.
our wait list, and then they repopulate, but we're continuing to use fee assistance so we can secure child cares outside our military fence
yes.
line. to
Yes,
help
that's what I'm
solve
talking
this
about.
problem.
The
We
fee
even got to the
assistance.
end of that. I've not run out of money.
No,
And I'm
that's
glad to
good.
hear accessing that fee assistance. So I'll look forward to working with you and your team to see what else we can do to help make sure that folks are actually able to access that fee assistance.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? You want to help folks access that fee assistance? Do away with the wage gap, the earning fucking criteria for it. Right? You know how many people told me and Nikki, hey, you guys should really apply for the fee assistance. And Nikki had already looked into it. We were too rich. Our quality of life was already too fucking great. We couldn't get it. Meanwhile, we're just shelling out the money still to send our 0 to 5 year olds, the two of them, to a private, child care facility here near the house, like a stone's throw away from the house, right? That way it was like easy and convenient for us to take them to the child care before and after work, right? To drop them off before work, pick them up after work, stuff like that, right? You get what I'm saying? But we disqualified. Her job was too good. We were too rich already, right? So again, it's one of those things like if the fee assistance is only good for the junior sailors, if the fee assistance is only good for the single parents, then it's not good for the fleet. It needs to be good for the fleet. It needs to be good for everyone. So you want to help us, Ms. Lady? I forget what her name is. Is it Jacobs or something else? The San Diego rep on the quality of life. Get the earnings, the criteria, do away with it, right? If you want to do something like that, then make it where the fucking, I don't know, like, make it a lot more, man. Make it, I don't know, like, if you are 05 and you got kids, like, come on, you tell me you can't afford that? Again, maybe they can't, okay? But just do away with it. Fucking make it, like, if you apply for that shit, you should be able to get it. I know you're going to be like, yeah, well, they have to have something. They'll run out of money too fast. Maybe they will. Then, I don't know, but that's how you can help access to it, okay? Get me started. I want my cut too.
On the Force side, capacity is always the challenge. What we have
see
found
what
to be
Air
really
Force says.
Successful is the partnership that we've had with our communities, and you all also talking with your community members to encourage the partnership.
About to wrap
with
this.
the Boys
I
and
gotta
Girls Club, with
use the restroom.
colleges and universities, and so other things like that. The child care issue is not
Yep.
one that the military is going to be able to get after by itself. We are going to need our communities outside the fence line to help us.
Yeah, but again, like, what do we want from them? If that's what we're saying, we have to spell it out to the communities, right? There's got to be some incentive for that local community to build more Boys and Girls Clubs, more some kind of childcare facilities or something. There's got to be some incentive there, right? And it has to be close to base, or it has to be. Like, if you're gonna do fee assist, I don't know shit. Okay, we all know me, number one dummy. Okay. But if why not do it something kind of like your medical referral system where, like, you pick childcare areas that you can get that fee assistance, and they're in certain specific areas, right? Over here in the Chula Vista area, East Lake area, that'd probably be a really good place to have a couple childcare facilities that are, DOD vetted and approved, that maybe spouses could work in those ones that are near their house over here. Maybe get some down in National City that are a lot closer to 36. So you're not having to drive past it and then drive back or anything, right? It's there near it. And it's an easy trip in and an easy trip out to drop those kids off, right? Think about something like that. I don't know. What do I know, though, right? Let me know in the comments. What do I know?
Thank you. We're now going to recognize
Let's
Mr. Luttrell from Texas.
Mr. Luttrell from Texas. Luttrell, not
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Luttrell.
I feel like I should open my statement with a joke, but nothing's more entertaining than watching the staff behind all of you try to stay awake and take notes. It's just absolutely entertaining, because I was in that
funny.
spot at one time or another. I've been admiring the Space Force's dress uniforms. Very powerful, sir. All of you. Very
The dude's got jokes right here.
Near as
Listen to
cool
this.
as the Marines. Marines, you guys got it, hands down. The Army had to go back to World War II. That's a strong statement. But Master Chief, we're stuck with the whites. It's sad. Air Force, keep going. You're doing.
I don't
great
get
things.
it. Everyone knows that the fucking whites look good. He's not even in
My
whites.
background's in
He's in his blues, so
And you pinged on a narrative that I want to capitalize on.
he doesn't really ask any questions either. He just kind of
The
talks.
narrative for the military is broken.
Yeah,
Remember back in the 1900s when we were born and we joined in, we had Gunny
back.
Highway.
He was motherfucker said
We
back in
had
the
John
1900s.
Rambo. We had the Navy SEALs. I've been struggling to find something for the Air Force, and I think I got Iron Eagle. Is that a good hit? Iron Eagle, right? That's Air Force.
We take credit for Maverick too. Yeah.
That's Navy, right? She's right. All right, we'll go with that. And Space Force.
No, Air Force. No, Air Force. You do not get to take credit for Maverick. Like that's bullshit. You bullshitting.
But
We're gonna just get past him because he just talks a bunch. It's not that he says anything bad or not worth listening to. It's just so this one here.
It's pretty incredible.
Check this one out.
And so for any young woman or man out there today who is interested in that sort of thing, interested in cyber, Space Force is on fire. It's hot, it's cool, and it's really neat to meet some of the folks who are coming through the ranks. Quality of life initiatives are supremely important to our sailors, soldiers, and
this is the only one that actually kind of got spicy. She talks a lot. So she's talking about Marine Corps Station Beaufort.
Yes, I've been there a few times throughout my career, not since taking the seat.
This
but
one's-
I have maintained quite a bit of touch points with that command team because it's close to Paris Island, and that's we have
Go on,
a very
Sergeant
good
Major.
relationship. Marines and the privatized housing AMCC, they work very hard together to get.
He keeps on talking, right? And then she claps back.
Doing the best they can. And in that specific, and so what empty, they call them ready rack homes. And so those are homes that are already available to families.
He's trying to
or,
explain like what's going on
single
there.
Parents.
And
ready to move in. And so
we're not going to have, that's not happening.
Here it is.
So
What?
there's definitely a housing issue down there. I'm not going to accept that there's an issue with disinformation or misinformation. We're not going to have, that's not happening.
Yes, ma'am. And so
hold on.
To families or single parents ready to move in. And so
This is
I'm
where he
not
says
sure
it.
that we have a disconnect with information. I think
There's definitely a housing issue down there. I'm not going to accept that there's an issue with disinformation. or
She dropped the
misinformation.
dis and misinformations.
Yes, ma'am. And so I would just provide you with additional context.
I think Sergeant Major got a little stumped there. Like,
going places.
like why?
What I mean
Like,
by that,
who's she to
there's
snap off on him like
still
that? You know?
schools there. There's youth programs. We're building a
Time this morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield back.
Thank you. I got a couple.
She was like, "Yeah, thank you. Moving on."
For you. First of all, I want to thank the Master Chief Honea for talking about a lot of our sailors have to stay on ships when they come back to port.
Yep.
So I was going to ask you about that, but you brought it up earlier. It's something that we all need to realize.
Yep.
Quality of life for our sailors.
Mm-hmm.
They're on ships, and there's welding going on at night, and what they're trying to say.
Not
it's
always,
hard.
but sometimes.
So we got to find a better way forward working with the Navy.
Depending on what kind of
to
yard
support those
period
sailors
you're
when they
in.
Return. What I'd like to do is ask, we'll go from the Space Force over. We'll try to reverse order because we want to put a little more attention down here on this side. We got a barracks or dormitory problem.
See, I'm gonna try to skip forward a little bit on some stuff.
This challenge. So thank you to all of you.
Be in finding housing.
Highlighting
I'd
Mick
also
Pond's
like to recognize,
answers because that's what's
Congressman Davis
what we're talking about
is
the most
sitting there
here.
Not able to ask questions, but he's sitting here through everything. He's listening from our SecNav to get after operations and maintenance of our unaccompanied. Everyone's time on solving that.
Place in the economy and be successful in their own.
And then get into the
rights.
spouses stuff here, right? You know, we're gonna start wrapping that up, right? We're about an hour and a half into this. I got kids that are ready to go to bed. What do you want? over so I'm at an hour 51. There's about there's 2 hour 16-minute hearing. So, another 25 minutes in it. We're gonna wrap it there though, right? Look, I hope you enjoyed this. If you haven't watched the whole thing yourself, go ahead, put it on in the background, listen to it or something. It is very, very, it's very informative, right? Hearing our senior enlisted talk on our behalf and let these civilians there in the House know, and on this quality of life hearing committee, U.S. House, it's the U.S. House Armed Services Committee, right? Although I'd be interested if there's a lot more on this committee. I don't know how many people make up a committee. I just know that this fucking room, these chambers were empty as shit. Okay, and if there's supposed to be more people, then they should have showed up, and we should be asking as military service members, right? If we have, if we're the constituents, right, of a district or something that's supposed to be serving us on this committee, and they weren't here today, I would ask why the fuck not, right? And don't forget to vote when that does come up. Okay. Overall, though, like I said, real good stuff. Think about it. Think about who when you go to vote. Think of how well informed you are. Think about who's out here representing us. When you're talking to your sailors, your airmen, whoever, right? If you're in that leadership role, if you're that junior enlisted or officer, whoever, right? Think about, again, quality of life. Everyone's quality of life is a little bit different. Everyone gets affected. Their quality of life is affected in several different ways. And just be aware of that, Other than that, we're going to be out of here for the night. And, do I not have more information on how you can? I don't got music on this no more. Okay. Well. Oh, here we go. There it is. That's us. We're out of here.
Anchor.fm/Bravo Zulu podcast.
I forgot I recorded that one.
Information, views,
that
and
good.
opinions expressed in this podcast are solely of Joshua
That's
Moore
me.
and the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent the DOD.
No, they don't.
DON, or those of the respected institutions or organizations.
I forgot I had that.
Thanks for joining us.
We out. Hey, thanks for joining us tonight, everyone that stopped by and listened to the show. Again, if you've not watched this, go check it out yourself, all right? And let people know how you feeling about it. Let them know. We want that 25% pay increase next January 1st, 2025. It's only going to get us caught up to inflation a little bit above it, all right? So let's go. We out.